We're going to begin our second lesson with a little tutorial on color theory. Let's look at the color wheel first. The color wheel is divided into warm colors and cool colors. When we add white to a color, it becomes a tint. When we add black to a color, it becomes a shade. Now, analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. For example, green, green, and yellow, or red, orange, and orange. Play with the hues and saturation of analogous colors to create a harmonious color scheme. Now, complementary colors are colors that are at opposite ends of the color wheel. They're as different as black and white. And in the old days when we had color photography, you would see if you had a yellow like this, magenta would appear on the negative. Then you have the triad color. So it's a good idea to have a color wheel. If you don't, you can certainly use one on the internet. Now let's look at harmonious colors. We talked a little bit about them earlier. These are warm colors and these are cool colors. I always found that clients prefer either warm or cool, but usually not both. And a lot of times if I did a job in warm colors and they'd say, well, I don't like the colors, it usually meant that they were people who preferred cool colors. Now, when you choose colors, you want to promote harmony and contrast. When you have a dark background, light colors tend to come forward. Dark colors recede, and it's very hard to see, especially on printed pieces. This is a big mistake that a lot of people make when designing. They'll design something that looks very good on the monitor where you have transmittive light, and then when you print it and you have reflected light, it doesn't look as good. Now again, on a light background, dark colors come forward and light colors recede. Let's look at color. With RGB color, it's red, green, and blue, and 100% of that makes pure white. When you mix red and green together, it makes yellow. Green and blue together, cyan. Blue and red together, magenta. Now, RGB color is transmittive. That means that it goes right through the substrand, such as monitors, film recorders, and overhead projectors. Now, CMYK color, that would be yellow, magenta, cyan, and black. When you get 100% of each of these colors, yellow, magenta, and cyan, you get sort of a black. But it's a muddy black because it's not pure, because it's picking up the color from the substrand and also it's reflective, so it's not pure light. So these colors together make red, green, and blue. So that's why we have black, or K. Now, CMYK is reflective, and this is used for printers, plotters, and printed pieces. Now, when we're creating a logo, or we want to produce a specific color, we use something called spot colors. And this is a color samples where the colors, no matter where you get it printed in the country or in the world, they should look alike. And you can look up these colors, these Pantone colors, on the internet, and here's a website that you can go to. And this is a Pantone think tank where you can choose different colors. But remember, you always use Pantone colors when designing a logo. Let's look at the color gamut. The human eye has a huge range, and each human eye is a little bit different. And you probably notice that with some people they see certain colors that you can't see, and vice versa. My guy can see magentas really well, and I don't see them as well as he does. We can look at a sunset and he'll see magentas in it, and I don't see it at all. You can take the range of color for the RGB is smaller than what we can see with our eye. So in other words, there's a whole gamut of color that cannot be reproduced in RGB. And the color range for CMYK is even smaller than RGB. And that is why when we have colors that we make on our monitor, they don't always print the way we'd like them to print. So how do we try to get our colors to print? Well, we use something called color management. And there's two key features, and one is an ICC profile, and that stands for the International Color Consortium. And these are profiles that are set up by this consortium that give certain colors, certain color spaces and numbers, so that they come out the same on different formats. And then there's something called Gamut mapping. And this transforms a space when an image is transferred between formats. For example, from the memory to the monitor, or the memory to the printer, or from one space to another space. So these are very important. And there's classes just on color management, and there's color management software. Now, color management allows you to output your file to a device with the peace of mind that your colors will be true. It uses fixed scientific color space to fit your output device, and that would be either your digital monitor or your digital printer, or if you're sending a job out to a printer, his printer. Which brings me to say that you should ask your printer if you need a printer profile so that you can put it in and use it before you start doing your job. Another thing you can do is calibrate your monitor to make color better. You follow the directions that came with your software, and you calibrate to your output device. And you can test your colors by using a target color card, and you can find these on the internet. Now, there is a psychology to color. For example, I did a job once for a client. Well, actually, I was doing a seminar for a client, and there was a question and answer time. And this woman who was in business with an insurance company said, "There's something wrong with this presentation that I've done, and it doesn't look businesslike." And what she had used was red, yellow, and blue, which says simplicity, newness, but mostly childhood. And she had to change that. So warm colors are usually yellow, orange, and red, and they denote excitement and closeness and sensuality. Cool colors, green, blue, and violet, denote coolness, distance, trust, quiet, and calm. There's more to that too. You know, blue is spacious, clarity, thoughtfulness, purity, tranquility, freedom. Brown, gray, quiet, conservative, stable. Red, danger, stipulation, love. Warmth, life, excitement, business loss, malfunction, prohibition. Black, professionalism, stark power, elegance. Yellow, cheerfulness, caution. And green, quiet nature, money, go ahead, and envy. You will also find that the psychology of color depends on the culture you're dealing with. For example, I was watching uh, Monsoon Wedding, which is one of my favorite Indian Bollywood type movies. And in that movie, the wedding planner has everything in white. And the father comes out and is so angry. And he says, "Do you think this is a funeral?" Because in their culture, white is for funerals. And so the wedding planner changed everything to yellows and oranges. And the father was happy. Now, harmonious colors also depend on the shapes you use. And here's an image that says it takes more than good genes to give you good health. And here are two ellipses which denote um, harmony. And you can see that the colors are harmonious too. Now here is the same image, but it has complementary colors. And the shapes are arrows, which suggest strong graphics and power in opposites to get good health. So it depends on the color you use and the objects you use. Now, 5 uses of color are to emphasize, to differentiate, group objects or concepts and give order, and trigger emotions or associations. The fewer colors you use, the better. Large objects probably should be more subtle. In lines and small graphic shapes, use bright colors so that you can bring the eye to it. And stay away from dark red and dark green if you really want people to see it, because 40% of men see these colors as brown. A book that I like to use is Color Harmony, A Guide to Creative Color Combinations. It's not required for this class. It's by Hideaki Chijiwa, I'm saying his name right, Chijiwa, and it's a wonderful book. So we're going to start our quilt now. Bye.